Attention please. This upload is only for educational purpose. No intention to infringe copyrights. Learning English with subtitles. GPITRAL. GPITRAL. Definitely a must-see. Follow us.
Ordinary homes, extraordinary happenings. Living with the dead. Britain's most haunted houses go under the spotlight as our crack team of psychics go face to face with the evil that lurks within.
Leave my house!
Sensitive Johnny Fiore, exorcist Ian Lawman, and paranormal investigator Stephen Griffiths embark on their spine-chilling quest to get rid of uninvited house guests. Tonight, when a DIY seance goes wrong, the team are called in to pick up the pieces.
Could you draw in closer?
Whoa! What's that? What the
What was that?
Oh, God! No!
Ghostly images, a spectre with white eyes, an old gravestone, a hand reaching out. Living with the dead with ITFC audio description. A red brick terraced house on a busy road.
Blackpool, Lancashire, and the Living with the Dead team are on a mission. They've been called to this house to check out the supernatural sightings that owner Sue Dennis believes have been haunting her and her family for years. The house was built in the early 1900s and bought by Sue 22 years ago. From the very beginning, she knew the house was unusual.
I was in here on the first night. I stayed in the dining room. Then I realised that this house was actually different to any other house that I'd been in before. That was the first night that I realised there was somebody, or I thought there was somebody else in the house.
And things soon started to get worse.
And when I moved in with my children, the dining room, which is where the former occupier lived, went very cold, and the children didn't want to play in it, they didn't want to do it, nobody come in this room.
The dining room at first, admittedly, was awful. No one wanted to be in there, it was foreboding. You just hated being in there. You used to run through it to get into the kitchen.
Over the years, Sue and her children got used to this strange energy in the dining room.
The atmosphere has just changed, I believe, because we've lived here so long that the spirit has taken to us.
Distorted black and white images inside the suburban home.
So who is this fickle spirit that took so long to warm to the family?
I believe her name is Tilly. She's around 7 years of age. My first experience of actually seeing Tilly was very surreal. There's a mirror facing my bedroom door, and I could see this child as well as I'm seeing everybody here. Solid, not an apparition or anything. She was a solid, beautiful child, and it was when I realised she'd got very long hair that it wasn't my son. My heart went into my mouth, but when I looked in the mirror, there was nobody there.
Daughter Louise's first experience of Tilly was less endearing.
I felt an enormous, what can I describe as like a block of ice, like the size of two fists put together, just right in the middle of my torso here, inside. And it was just like it exploded out through my body. It was awful.
I was sat in my chair in the window, and it was like something coming towards me at one lick of a pace, and it just went whoo, whoo, like that, and it literally pushed me back, and I really did think my windows were going to go through.
I think it was Tilly making herself known.
They believe this girl child is a mischievous spirit.
The doll on the landing is stood holding onto the railings like this, and I do think that Tilly plays with it. You know, you'll wake up some mornings and it'll be on the floor, or in a seated position when it's actually stood day to day.
Recently, Sue has also sensed a more menacing spirit in the house.
I saw this gentleman. He was just standing near my other son's bedroom door.
I woke up and I saw this dark figure just next to the door, man, and it was just stood there. It wasn't saying anything or anything. It just like a tall dark figure there.
The first time I saw him, he was just stood with the door to his side here, on the right, and he was looking out, as if he was looking out onto the landing, and you could see the profile of his face. I was pretty scared, very scared, But as ridiculous as it was, I thought, if I just turn over and pretend I'm asleep, it'll go away. And that's what I did.
The family also believe a third entity has taken residence.
The mistress I saw towards the end of last year, and when I first saw her, she came from my mum's room, left, going down the hallway in a white dress, in a different, not the same as the little girls, but in a different, like a wedding dress.
She had an aura about her that was just awful. I don't want to go as far as saying evil, but not good at all.
So why are these lost souls drawn to Sue's house?
This house, I do believe, is a vortex, or it's very susceptible to spirits coming, wanting to come through. Obviously, because we do believe very much in them.
It seems that sometimes, you know, you have a sort of a conglomeration, a collection of spirits that people refer to as a vortex. They say they've come through a portal to start with, and then you get one or more. And then, like any crowd, it begins to grow and develop a life of its own. A vortex is a whirling centre. Descartes, the philosopher, described it first with the cosmos. And it gets bigger and more powerful, like a maelstrom at sea or a tornado. And the more that is attracted to it, the bigger and more powerful it gets.
The spirits seemed to live happily in Sue's house for many years, but things were soon to change. One night, Sue and Louise held a séance.
Is there a spirit here that can push their energies towards the glass? Do you want to speak to us?
And ever since, they've had problems.
We did do a tabletop kind of séance, and I think probably we invited people through.
Are there any unpleasant spirits here?
I do believe that one of the spirits, a gentleman, that is there, that I know is there, but I can't bring him forward. Maybe he's frustrated, and that's why it's an ominous presence.
That's not what I want to know.
Having lived happily for so long with these spirits, the séance has now brought forward a dark presence, leaving the family scared and in need of help.
The atmosphere in the house at the moment is really bad. Really don't like it at all. My mum especially is feeling it, being here more than I am. So we really, really can't wait for Johnny and Ian to come and hopefully move these new spirits on, because the atmosphere in the house is just awful.
The Living with the Dead team intend to hold an overnight vigil at Sue's property to see what activity they can unearth. Before their vigil begins, they will investigate the house to get an initial feel for any psychic phenomena. As Sue and family leave, the team moves in. First to arrive is paranormal investigator Stephen Griffiths.
Wow. First impressions. Lot of bric-a-brac.
Top paranormal investigator Stephen has over 10 years' experience of psychic investigations, having visited over 500 haunted houses.
All sorts of things around the room, a lot of family memorabilia. See if anything's has got a spirit in this house. It could be attached to one of the antiques, or photographs, or memories of good times or even bad times.
Stephen heads upstairs to the landing to take some temperature readings.
It feels a lot cooler up here than downstairs. You're thinking it'd be a little bit warmer upstairs with the heat rising, but it's quite chilly.
Later that evening, the rest of the team arrive. Sensitive Johnny Fiore and exorcist Ian Lawman. They've never met Sue and know nothing about what she's experienced in her house. Once inside, they separate and room by room explore the property. Ian immediately senses a large amount of psychic energy.
I feel so busy in here.
With over 1,000 homes investigated for spiritual activity, exorcist Ian Lawman is the most experienced member of the team. He believes he's exorcised over 300 properties.
There's a lot of energy in this particular room here. A rush of energy, so I feel it's an area that would be very active.
It was like something coming towards me at one lick of a pace, and it just went whoo, whoo, like that, and it literally pushed me back.
It's almost like a swirl of energy, maybe a porthole or a vortex.
Johnny is also amazed at how active the house feels.
There is so much happening in this house. I am being bombarded with different images.
Johnny's been a sensitive all her life, having inherited her psychic skills from her ancestors. In the past, she's investigated over 100 homes for paranormal activity.
Johnny, well wrapped up, explores the house.
I got a man at the top of the steps, but I'll get to you in a minute.
And he was looking out onto the landing, and you could see the profile of his face.
What on earth is that?
The doll on the landing is stood holding onto the railings like this. And I do think that Tilly plays with it.
Somebody likes you, don't they?
What? Oh, okay. There's something associated with tears in this wedding dress. I don't know.
A stench of alcohol and smoke.
I see a man, heavy-footed, tripping up these stairs. Drunk.
As I'm drawn in this room, as I go in here, there's a man in here saying, "Get out my house."
Coming up, the team spend the night alone in Sue's house. Johnny gets a scare.
The hell was that? Whoa.
And Stephen can't quite believe his ears.